Hey, welcome back, everybody. If you haven't heard, we've got a newsletter now. Use the link in the show notes to sign up. All right, let's get going with the show. There's a moment that catches us all off guard. It's not the last day in uniform or our final shift or even our retirement ceremony. Those we expect. We prepare for them, mark them on the calendar. No, the real moment is quieter, more personal. It's that moment when you realize that the organization will keep moving without you. The team, the mission, the structure you built your life around, they all carry on. But that leaves a question. What will carry on with you? So with that, let's get into round 57 of the tactical transition tips. This time the topic is, what is your legacy? For the close range group, those of you looking at your transition right away or you're less than a year out, be professional when you exit. For the medium range group, those of you looking at your transition in about 5 years or so, identify something you can improve. And for the long range group, those of you just starting your careers, you're at least a decade before your transition, be a thought leader.
When you transition out is try to model all of the good things, the discipline, the structure, that little bit of rigidity into your everyday life. And I think that that's a great way to make that transition happen, man.
Take the time to invest in yourself because it means everything. You know? That's what the difference is. The difference is not just to collect a check. It's to live 25 years, 30, 40 years after you retire and pay it forward that way.
Close range group. Be professional when you exit. Here's the thing. When you leave, people will talk about you. It's human nature. The moment you walk out the door, some people will say, man, we lost a good one. However, others may not be so kind. Think about it. How many people do you know who left the job on bad terms? Maybe they got bitter. Maybe they checked out early. Maybe they went out in a blaze of glory, cussing out leadership or blasting the organization on social media. And now years later, their name still kind of carries that negative story. But here's the real question. What do you want people to say when your name is mentioned? Because your last few months, they aren't just an ending. They're the foundation for the next chapter in your life. And the way you handle your transition will either keep doors open or slam them shut. So let's break this down. First, control the narrative. Make sure you exit with integrity. If you don't control the story of your exit, someone else will. That means taking charge of how you leave, what you say, and who you stay connected with. If you're wondering why this is important, your reputation doesn't stop when you turn in your badge or take off the uniform. The people you work with, they're going to be future references, potential business partners, maybe even your hiring manager one day. You don't want to be the guy who burned bridges because here's the truth. Those flames, yeah, they might feel good in the moment. They don't just burn the past. They also burn your future. So here's a few tips for how you can make it happen. First, stay in control of your emotions. Even if leadership screwed up, even if the system was broken, even if you feel like you got the short end of the stick, vent privately, not publicly. Next, frame your exit in a positive light. When people ask why you're leaving, don't say, I'm sick of this place or this place sucks. Instead, something like, I'm looking forward to new challenges. That small shift changes everything. Also, make sure your paperwork is clean. Double check all of your exit documentation. If something feels off, don't sign it until you truly understand it. Have somebody else look at it if possible. And one more thing, thank people. I don't care if you loved or you hated your time in. Take a moment to send a few emails or go up and shake somebody's hand. A simple, hey, I appreciate the time we worked together, can carry goodwill that will last years after your exit. Another aspect of your pending transition, complete the mission. Leave no loose ends. You spent your career handling business. Don't stop now. Granted, you might be mentally checked out, and I get it. But the work you leave behind is just as important as the work you completed. If you walk away and leave a mess, that's what people will remember. Not the years you put in, not the cases you closed, not the good work you did, just the chaos that got left in your wake. Make sure you wrap up your projects. If you have any open cases, assignments, reports, whatever it is, finish them and hand them off properly. Something else to make sure of. Mentor your replacement. Even if it's just a 5-minute rundown, a little guidance goes a long way. Don't just take your pile of crap and dump it in their lap and then walk away basically throwing up deuces, peace out. Also, talking about handling your old stuff, organize your files, whether it be digital, paper, it doesn't matter. But make it easy for that next person when they're going through this stack of whatever you're going to hand them to easily pick up where you left off. Remember, how you leave reflects how much you valued your role right now. And if you don't care enough to finish strong, why should anybody respect what you did before or what you're going to do in the future? The next area to focus on is expand your network. You thought I'd go an episode without saying this? It's not going to happen. This is your bread and butter, networking. But seriously, some of the best opportunities in your future won't come from job advertisements or job opening flyers. They're going to come from the relationships you're building today. You have years of connections. Don't just throw them away because you're eager to move on to something else. Don't take this for granted. You have to remember, the first call that a hiring manager is going to make when they see your application is to somebody who knows you. And your reputation will walk into that interview before you ever do. So, what are the preemptive things that you can do? First, like I said, personally take the time to thank your supervisors, coworkers, mentors, whoever it is. It's not just about courtesy. It's about keeping those doors open. Next, use those same people and get LinkedIn recommendations. Ask people who know you and respect your work to endorse you. Also, and this is very important, stay in touch. A simple, let's stay connected, or give me a call, or whatever it is, can turn into potential job leads down the road, or partnerships or opportunities, but it's all based on staying connected. I'm going to shift gears here a little bit. Don't let resentment stop you from keeping good connections. I get it. Maybe you're leaving because of politics. Maybe leadership let you down. Maybe the job wasn't what you thought it was going to be. But if you let anger be the thing that carries you forward, you're giving them control. and your future is not yours. And they don't deserve that control. We all understand it's easy to check out early. But here's what I'll leave you with. Your last impression is your lasting impression. And the way you leave, that's the first thing people will remember. So stay professional and finish strong. You ever feel like your body just isn't keeping up like it used to? We all know that life doesn't slow down, and sometimes the grind catches up. Lower energy, lagging focus, or a dip in motivation. Human Performance TRT understands the need to regain your edge. As a veteran and first responder-owned company, they're not just another telehealth provider. They take a full spectrum approach to your health, crafting personalized plans that go beyond hormones. There's no locked-in subscriptions, no hassles. Everything is delivered directly to your door, so you can stay focused on what really matters. Also, if you're already on a hormone replacement program, you can switch over seamlessly with recent blood work. There's no extra tests required if your labs are under 6 months old. So are you ready to optimize your health? Visit hptrt.com and see what personalized care looks like. And don't forget to use the promo code TDP for 10% off your program. Medium range group. Identify something you can improve. Let me ask you this. If you walked away from the job today, what would you leave behind? I'm not talking about your gear, not your awards and your achievements, not your final paycheck. I'm talking about your impact. The way things run, the systems in place, the processes people follow. Would any of them be better because of you? Because here's the hard truth. If you don't actively work to improve something before you leave, you're basically just passing through. We've all seen it. People waiting around too long to think about their transition. They assume that when the time comes, they'll just pack up, move on, and figure it out. But what they don't realize is that their career after service doesn't start when they leave. It starts these several years before. So if you're 5 or so years out from transition, now's that time to start making real, tangible improvements. Not just for your team, not just for your organization, but also for you. Because the changes you make today, they become the legacy that you take forward. So let's talk about what you can do. First, evaluate your duties and your functions. Identify what can be improved. Before you can fix anything, you need to figure out what's not working or what can be done more efficiently. Every job in each of our careers had processes that suck. Maybe they just suck to you, but they suck. There's inefficiencies, outdated procedures, unnecessary steps that make everything harder than they really need to be. You see them, your coworkers see them every single day. But the difference between an average employee and a leader, leaders do something about it. Complaining is the easy part. Hell, we're all experts at that. But coming up with ideas to fix things and then having the conviction to get things changed, that's the hard part. It's a reality. Most people are going to walk away from their careers without making any lasting improvements. They put their time in, they do their job, and they move on. But the ones who leave a real impact identify something that could be made better, and they fix it. And here's the kicker. That fix doesn't just help the team or the organization. It helps you. Because when you transition and start job interviews, measurable improvements set you apart. For example, instead of just saying, I was a sergeant, or I handled investigations, imagine you're able to say, I improved evidence processing, or I developed a training plan that improved team performance and efficiency. That kind of stuff is gold when you're going into an interview. You don't have to overthink this. Remember, you're not reinventing the wheel. Think basic. And if it happens to grow big, better on you. Imagine being able to say, I identified this issue, which caused my organization to completely revamp this whole issue. But just take a step back and look at your daily tasks. What slows you down? What frustrates you? What's inefficient? Ask your coworkers, what's the biggest pain point in their day? What do they wish worked better? Look for patterns. If multiple people are complaining about the same thing, or you see the same thing, boom, that's your target. The key, though, is choosing something that actually matters. Find something that makes a real impact. Of course, you want it to make an impact on your life and make your job easier. Don't get me wrong, that's not a bad starting point. But look for the small changes that will have a big impact. Like I said, not every improvement needs to be a massive overhaul. In fact, the best changes are the ones that are simple, practical, but they're easy to implement. Hell, you could likely get something small changed at the unit level, see how it functions, and then let other units see how you guys are doing it and the changes that you've made are improving things. But don't make the mistake that a lot of people make in thinking that they need to fix everything at once. If you try to change too many things all at once, nothing's going to stick. Instead, focus on one impactful improvement. For example, focus on things that save time, reduce workloads, improve efficiency, eliminate redundant tasks. Find the bottlenecks where those things that are bogging down you and your coworkers. On the other hand, though, keep it realistic. If a fix requires a 10-year policy change, it's probably not your fight. But if it's something you and your team can implement that's easy or simple, that's where you focus your attention. And remember, if you can't measure the improvement, it's not an improvement. It's just an idea. Whatever idea you have, you better be able to show how the change improves things. The goal is create something that outlives your time in your job. Something else you want to consider is getting the right people on the train early. You're going to need to build momentum for whatever change it's going to be. You could have the best idea in the world, but if no one buys into it, it's likely never going to see the light of day. So whatever you decide to do your homework, do your research. It's one thing to have an idea. It's another to actually have answers to solve it. Don't go half-cocked. If you're serious about making changes, then put the effort into finding the right solution. You can choose which of these to do first based on your organization and your leadership. Talk to leadership. Show them how the change benefits the team, the organization, but most importantly, not just you. Because if you're looking for a benefit to help you, it'll be obvious. Also, get your coworkers on board. If the people who actually have to use the changes that you're going to implement don't like it, you know as well as I do, it's not going to succeed. Another thing not to forget, though, whatever you're going to suggest will likely get hit with, well, this is how we've always done it. Be tactical. Be flexible. You're really going to deal with politics if, say, it's a leader who developed the current practice. When you pitch your idea, think honey, not vinegar. And whatever you do, try not to frame your reasonings for wanting to change something as you're criticizing, because you never know who's going to have a vested interest in how you're currently doing something, whatever it is. But this goes back to not being selfish. If you try to make changes that not only help you, which you should, you're looking to help your team and the organization, though, more. That way, you'll come off as more genuine. Your game plan should be get the most people who believe in and buy into the change as you propose it. Then, if you're able to get it changed, don't just fire and forget it. Stay involved and show that you're committed to this new project. Another important thing, though, is teach the rest of your team, the rest of your organization, and make sure, especially if it's something technical, that you document how to do it. You could build the best system in the world, but after you're gone, if nobody knows how to use it or they don't remember how to use it, it might as well have never happened. Take the time to write out clear instructions. Make it easy for people to follow even after you're gone. And then train as many people as possible. But equal to that, after you're gone, make yourself available to answer any questions that might come up. And then last, put your ego away. A fix is only good if it actually works. No matter how cool you are, don't assume that what you come up with is just going to work. Measure if it's working and be willing to tweak it. The goal is to leave something behind that lasts, because when the time comes for your transition, you don't want to say, I worked there. You want to be able to say, I made it better. What powers you through your day? If you're like me, coffee's at the top of that list. So take your coffee to a new level with Trident Coffee, a veteran-owned brand that's redefining your coffee experience. Cold brew experts, their instant cold brew is a game changer. And though they roast their beans to excel as a cold brew, trust me, their coffee tastes just as amazing hot. Trident Coffee is also committed to your wellness, with ingredients like organic mushrooms, adaptogens, and nootropics to help boost your focus and support your immunity. It's made for those who enjoy good coffee and value quality and health. Whether you're looking for that perfect, refreshing cold brew or a smooth cup of hot coffee to fuel your day, Trident Coffee has you covered. Head over to tridentcoffee.com and use the promo code TDP15 for 15% off your order. Long Range Group. Be a thought leader. Right now, transition is probably not even on your mind. The uniform still fits. The job still challenges you. And for the most part, you're probably still locked into the day-to-day grind. But remember, your transition doesn't start the day you leave. It starts now. But what I'm not saying is don't forego your career today just to plan for tomorrow. Make sure you're taking every opportunity, and most important, have fun now. But while you're maximizing your career today, be thinking how you can position yourself for the remainder of your career. Because here's what happens. Too many of us put our heads down, do our job, and suddenly one day our career is over. And we never really built something for ourselves away from these jobs. And that's when the panic sets in. Because in the civilian world, no one cares about our rank. No one cares about our seniority. What they care about is who we are as people, what we bring to the table, and whether we're a good leader worth listening to. And that's where thought leadership comes in. Becoming a thought leader isn't about self-promotion. It's about positioning yourself as a voice that people respect. And if you start now, by the time your transition comes, you won't be scrambling to prove yourself, and you'll already be known. So, how do you become a thought leader? First, find your voice. Here's the thing. We all have stories, but not everyone knows how to share them in a way that teaches others. The ones who do stand out. They're the ones who turn their experiences into insights. Thought leaders don't just react to conversations, they shape them. The best thing you can do is be a student, study leaders, and not just in law enforcement or the military. Look at business leaders, sports coaches, people who are game changers, and learn what makes them unique or compelling. Think about what sets your experiences apart. What do you know that others don't? What lessons have you learned? Did you have to learn them the hard way? Now, start sharing those insights, even if it's just in passing conversations, or if you have the opportunities to mentor somebody. Think about this. When you were brand new, granted you're still probably new in your career, but when you were baby new, and that person who gave you that little tidbit of information that just seemed to make doing something so much easier, be that person every day. The next thing you want to do is create and share valuable content. Establish yourself as a resource. If you want to be seen as a leader, you have to show your work. That means sharing insights, offering guidance, and putting your thoughts out there into the world before your transition. The more people who associate your name with valuable insights, the more credibility you build over time. And here's the thing, this doesn't just help with your transition. It's going to open doors for career pivots and leadership opportunities today. Remember, the work you put in now builds the foundation for what comes next in your career and in your transition. You're probably not going to like this one, but start writing anything. LinkedIn posts, articles, blogs. It doesn't matter. Just start sharing your perspective and your experiences, but share it publicly. The only caveat to this, though, is get permission for anything you're going to be putting out publicly, since you and your current organization are connected at the hip. Make sure that they give you buy off or buy into what you're going to put out there. Another thing you can do is teach. As you build your knowledge, share it. Make others around you and your organization better. People follow those who give value. Be the person who teaches, shares, and contributes. Along the lines of teaching, get better at public speaking and being able to communicate in different environments. Be that chameleon who can talk to the knuckle draggers as well as senior leadership. And do it in a way that you're able to command attention and respect in both groups. Like it or not, if you can't speak with clarity and confidence, people won't listen, no matter how good your ideas are. You're going to be in situations, whether in interviews, presentations, as a leader, where your ability to clearly articulate your thoughts will set you apart. You have to learn how to sell your ideas to those ears who will be listening. How you deliver a presentation to Group A will not necessarily work for Group B, and you need to learn how to adapt. So take every chance you can to get better. Volunteer to lead briefings, teach a class, speak at events, join a public speaking group like Toastmasters, and work on your ability to tell a story. The best speakers aren't the ones with the most knowledge. They're the ones who can make people listen and remember. When you transition, it won't be about what you did. Well, to a degree it will be, but it'll be more about how well you can tell the story of what you did. Last, put yourself where there's knowledge and information. If there's something you don't know, don't shy away from it. Challenge yourself and lean into it. One of the biggest mistakes that we as veterans and first responders make is we only engage and network with our peer bubble. We spend years surrounded by people who think like us, talk like us, and work like us. And then we wonder why our transitions are so difficult. Because when the time comes to step into the civilian world, we don't have connections outside of these industries. Or worse, we don't have connections outside of our immediate job duties. Understand that thought leadership isn't just about having good ideas. You also need to get those ideas in front of the right people. And the relationships you build now will open doors when you're ready to move on, as well as benefits to your career today. Think about this. When you do get to your transition, when you need a job, is not the time to start networking. You can't think of networking as just about finding your next job. It's about learning and growing and putting yourself as a leader before you ever need to make the move. Okay, so let's bring this all together. Close range group. Be professional when you exit. The way you walk out the door is how people will remember you. Make sure that that memory is one of professionalism, integrity, and respect. Medium range group. Identify something you can improve. The changes you make today, even small ones, will outlive your time on the job and become the foundation for the next phase of your career. And long range group. Be a thought leader. Your future isn't waiting for you. It's being shaped by what you do right now. Don't just be part of the system. Be a voice that leads it, and the easier your transition will be. As always, thank you for listening or watching the episode. If you have any comments or questions, feel free to reach out on social media or send me an email. The links are all in the show notes. I'd love to hear from you. Also, if you're not already, please follow the podcast on whatever platform you get your podcasts. You can also subscribe on YouTube. And if you would, please leave me a rating. Ratings do two things. You can tell me what I need to fix or improve, and the more ratings also gets the podcast recommended to more people. Another ask, please share the podcast with anyone you think could benefit from and enjoy it. And last, don't forget, sign up for the newsletter. And remember, your transition isn't just about moving on. It's about moving forward. What you leave behind and what you carry forward both matter. And whether you see it coming or not, that moment is on its way. The question is, what's your legacy?